So an official good morning, I guess, to everybody, and welcome again to Dirty Salad Club this morning, 27th of April for this month's session. It's a lovely sunny morning here in Dublin, so I hope there's something similar wherever each of you are. Thanks so much for taking the time to be here with us this morning. We're really looking forward to hearing your thoughts, your engagement, your chats, your comments in the chat as we go through this morning's session. A particular welcome to anybody who's here for the first time. Anyone who hasn't been here before, Dirty Salad Club it's a forum, it's a community, it's a club of anybody who's interested in the world of HR, of business psychology, of learning and development, of talent acquisition, anything to do with people in organizations. We get together once a month. We have these sessions and we use them as an opportunity to learn something from each other. So it's about learning, it's about maybe sharing some of our questions, our vulnerabilities. It's a space for us to do that and to have those kind of conversations that maybe we don't have an opportunity to have, certainly with our clients, maybe even with our colleagues for some people as well. People are often curious about the name and where it came from. So the name is the name of a band that our colleague Alan used to be in, that we thought it was really fitting for this setting, because the name Dirty implies that, look, we're allowed to be vulnerable here. It's dirty in that kind of way. Salad, because it's healthy, it's good for us to learn, it's good for us to share with each other, and a club in that we're all in this together, we're all learning together. We have a group on LinkedIn. If anybody here hasn't joined yet, please search for Dirty Salad Club on LinkedIn. You can also follow Kinch Lions on Eventbrite, where you'll see all the future sessions coming up there. And on the LinkedIn group, we have recordings and slides of all of our previous sessions as well. So lots of resources there for people. This morning, delighted to have with us John Fitzsimons and Glenn Treacy. So really looking forward to having John and Glenn with us and having that interaction of two people hosting for us. John has a really strong background both in the corporate world and in the social enterprise or not-for-profit world. He has a really strong professional interest in purpose, particularly social purpose. So our purpose within our community, our purpose within the world around us, and how that can help individuals and organizations to be more sustainable, more effective, more productive. And he's very naturally empathic and compassionate person, really good listener. So super skills to be bringing to the topic this morning of nonviolent communication. And with them is Glenn Treacy, who Glenn has quite a different background in the quantitative research within the investment world. So a world that's known for being dynamic, for being global, for being fast-paced, for being challenging. And a world where things like flexibility, resilience, and emotional intelligence are vital, but not always prioritized. So that led Glenn into the world of coaching, where he studied internationally with a really broad range of qualifications, and also has quite a strong interest in that wider sense of purpose and our connection to our
your imagination with the words and phrases that you use.
And just ask people to pop themselves on mute there. Perfect. Thanks, folks. So without further ado, I won't take up any more of your time. John and Glenn, it's over to you to take it away.
Okay, so thank you very much and good morning, everyone. So just to be clear, Tanya, as a quantitative analyst, a low level of emotional intelligence is absolutely paramount. You don't, we were the people that basically destroyed the financial system. You don't do that if you've got any emotional intelligence. We were numbers guys. So where John and I are here to talk about basically nonviolent communication. And I want to say a little bit about how I came across this. So I came across this maybe about 10 years ago. I was two London-based coaches that I really respect. I heard them say, "Have you read Nonviolent Communication by Rosenberg?" And the other person said, "Wow, it's brilliant." So I made a note and I kind of thought, right, if they think it's a good book to read, I should read it. But, as coaches, there's so many good books to read, and it just never made it up the list. But I knew of it. And then, and this is a little difficult and a little emotional for me to say, and I'm not going to tell you the full story, but I then had a situation with a member of my family. It was really difficult. The person was at extreme risk to themselves. It was a very frightening time. And at this stage, I had done a 5-year advanced training in somatic psychotherapy. I had just done the Smurfit course, and I realized that none of those skills were any use in connecting with someone at your own level. So, I mean, it amuses me. John and I both are assistants on the Smurfit program, where we're teaching people about coaching. And you hear people say, "I went home and I said to my son, so what would success look like?" And the son kind of goes, "Yeah, just don't give me any of that coaching bullshit." You know what I mean? So, you know, our kids particularly have great radar for this stuff. But I was getting into my car one day, and a very eccentric neighbor of mine came up and handed me a set of CDs. And she said, "These kept me sane when my mother had dementia." And I thought, okay. It was clearly visible to my neighbors that there was kind of crazy stuff happening. So I put these in, and within 15 minutes, my mind was blown. I had that paradigm shift. It's like, oh my God, there is a whole other way to communicate. And after that, I did 2 days in London, and I just kind of said, I need more of this. And then I did a 9-day intensive training in the Netherlands, which is the best place to study nonviolent communication, because it is the mecca of nonviolent communication in the world. There's a problem with the name. It puts people off. The name is in the spirit of Martin Luther King and Gandhi, nonviolent resistance. So what John and I have been doing is we're designing something where we're going to fuse kind of Gestalt and nonviolent communication. And what we're now starting to think about is this is really relational intelligence. Yeah, I don't think I need to say any more about that. No, I think one thing. So after 9 days, I came back and things changed with this person without me even needing to talk to them. So there's something energetic about this. It's not about the words. It's about the kind of the energetic presence. I exchanged a few text messages with this person. They obviously could sense, something's a little bit different, you know? And I think it has saved our relationship. And I think in one case, maybe has saved their life, because they were involved in a lot of very high risk stuff. So I'm a little bit over, John. Right, so I have a kind of a question for you now. So I'd like you to put this into the chat. If I had a magic wand and I could grant you a communication superpower, what would it be? So if you'd like to stick that into the chat now, just take, you know, a minute. Don't think about it, just, you know, whatever comes to you. There are no right or wrong answers. Multilingualism. Thank you, Trevor. The Gift of the Gab by Alberto. Is that small talk, Alberto? You want to be able to, the ability to sing. Okay. The ability to read emotions. Whose? Yours or someone else's? Say the right thing at the right time. It's tricky. To truly understand myself and be free, being able to achieve behavior change, impact through communicating, influence, yeah. A nice word for the greatest taboo of organizational life, more taboo than sex, politics. Influence is just that nice word for politics. The ability to communicate kindness and compassion, to think of the reaction of what I say before I say it. Very Gestalt. Really understand what they are saying. Yeah. Because people often are saying something else. Yeah. So we will touch on that. Eradicate shyness. My advice is learn to sing. I mean, you get together with Alan and go do some singing lessons. So, so just Alan, just on the singing, I just want to say one thing. Everyone can sing. So if Elvis Presley judged his ability to sing by listening to Pavarotti, he would feel like a failure. If Pavarotti listened to Elvis as a cue for what a singer was, he would feel as a failure. And my final argument is Bob Dylan, in his latter years, he doesn't sing. He has a Nobel Prize for poetry. The other guy, Leonard Cohen, I mean, it's kind of rhythmic poetry. Everyone has a voice, everyone can sing. But if you decide you want to sing like Mariah Carey, you know, that might not work out. So a very rich set of, and we're going to pull in some of these in our talk. So John, I think it is over to you now.
Yeah, thanks, Glenn. Good morning, everybody. Can you start moving the slides there, please?
Yeah, I completely forgot about the slides. we'll just skip all of that stuff. So there's Marshall Rosenberg, and they are puppets, a giraffe and a jackal.
Great. So good morning, everybody. I'm just going to talk through a little bit about nonviolent communication. At the core of it is it's very simple. So Glenn is going to push a few buttons here, and a few things are going to appear. So the first thing I want to talk about is myself, is the individual. So that's the self. So next up, I'm going to Glenn, if you can push the thought button at the top, right? So we all have lots of thoughts, okay? And for those that do kind of mindfulness or meditation, you know, thoughts are like clouds in the sky. They come, they go, or leaves in a stream. They come and they go. We've lots of them. And the next level down is emotions. So emotions, if you like, are more like, you know, being out on the sea, being out on the water. Some days it's choppy, some days it's calm. We've lots of different emotions, and depending on the individual, there's a connection between these two. And in some cases, if you see the arrows there, the thick arrow, if you like, is on the left, and in some cases the thick arrow is on the right. So in this case, our emotions are driving our thoughts. So today, if I'm sad, for example, that's probably influencing what's going on in my head. Or there's other people, as I say, that can have certain thoughts that influence their emotions. At the third level down, then, Glenn, if you can click that, which is our needs. So our needs is represented here by an anchor, because they're very much core to who we are. And we're all familiar with, excuse me, with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And really I suppose the joy and the magic of nonviolent communication is that the connection, there is a connection between our needs and our emotions, which will come up here as an arrow. And our needs actually drive our emotions. So for example, you know, sadness. So sadness could be the result of a need not being met, and it works both ways, in the positive and in the negative. Or if we're very happy, that might be the result of our needs being met. We're feeling secure, we're feeling love, we're nourished, we're sustained in life. So the joy, I suppose, the benefit of this work is the connection between all of these. So nonviolent communication comes up for me a lot in my coaching work. For example, I had a client last week who came in and she told me, like, I'm really pissed off. A colleague of mine dragged me into another meeting after a meeting and, you know, had a go at me. And I could see visually the emotion that was there for this client. And I suppose what I was able to do is sit with her and that emotion, but be able to encourage her to explore what need maybe is being threatened or not met that resulted in that emotion. And as it turns out, she felt she didn't have respect from her colleague, and there was a few other things there going on. But the ability to be able to bring her attention to the unmet need was I suppose, really powerful for that individual to be able to understand that's what I need. I need respect and a few other things. So this is a really powerful model to be able to understand how our thoughts, emotions are connected to our needs. We're all very good at thoughts. We've loads of them. We all feel emotions. We sometimes connect with those, sometimes struggle, but we're less good at the needs. So that's very much on the self side. So that's what's going on within ourself. On the right hand side then is person two, if you like, is another person, which Glenn will bring up here. And again, at the top level here, we'll say, of course, they have their own thoughts. which Glenn will bring up, and then they'll have their own emotions, like my individual, and again there's a connection between those two. But I suppose what's really interesting is where we are as two separate people. So if you look at the alignment or lack of alignment of the connection between each other on thought. So if Glenn hits this button here, you'll see that when our thoughts are aligned, if you can just go back to green, yeah. So when our thoughts are aligned, when we're, on the same page, if you like, there can be great clarity. We both know where we're at, certainly cognitively, and there can be great collaboration. There can be great creativity. However, if there's a misalignment on the thoughts, and you're having this thought, and the other person's maybe having an opposite thought, and the traffic light there goes red, for example, you'll see that there's a less efficient operating. So that's where we get into, well, I think this and you think that. So that's where we start to judge people. We start to see things as I'm right, you're wrong, and we probably start to get into kind of arguments. So that's at the thought level. At the emotional level, again, when we have not necessarily the same emotion, but when we have connection at an emotional level, we really see this. And this is where, as coaches, we try and sit with the coachee. When we have that connection, we have responsiveness. We can certainly feel ownership of one's emotions, and we have an empathic connection between each other. And then again, in terms of where maybe we are not connecting at an emotional level, we're not understanding of each other's emotions and our emotional states, we start to get kind of reactive. We start projecting our emotion on other people, and we start to get triggered. However, when we connect at the need level, the joy is that there's actually only one traffic light that's possible at the need level, and that's connection, and that's empathic understanding. It's a deeper level of empathy. So as individuals, it's really important that we try to connect to our needs, whether they've been met or not, and we encourage the other person to connect with their needs, and then we're able to communicate our needs. So the classic example is a couple who are going away on holiday, and the man says, I want an active holiday and go water skiing and skydiving, and the long-suffering wife is like, no, I've just been working really hard for 50 weeks of the year, I just want a break and sit on the beach. And at an emotional level, that can result in obviously conflict. However, if we're able to connect with our own individual needs, then maybe we're able to work out a situation whereby both needs are being met. So I suppose to summarize, we have very much at the thought level, we've lots of thoughts, and we're very close and connected to those thoughts to some degree at the emotional level. However, at the needs, we don't have that same connection, and we don't have the language of needs. In English, the term needy is one of the worst insults you can give an individual. However, we all really have these needs. So our work, what we're encouraging is people to try and connect with their individual needs, and then to be able to work better through being mutually respecting of each other's needs.
Can I jump in there, John? Just
please
for a second?
do, yeah.
Yeah, so thanks, John, for describing my wife's and I holiday plans. That was nice. To talk about the language at the thought level, we have all this language. As Rosenberg said, when he went to school, no one ever asked him. In all his education, right up to being a clinical psychologist, no one ever asked him how he felt. So we even see there's a huge deficit at the emotional level to describe things. And I would say, I'm going to generalize, particularly for men, at the needs level, it's tiny. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand our vocabulary, and I would say vocabulary in a relational sense, not necessarily about the words, it's about that sense of something visceral. So a lot of our work as facilitators is lending people our language. So they will describe something, and then you might say, well, I think you're looking for a need for support. So that's what we do, and we have techniques to help people borrow the language and get familiar to it, and then they can use it. I think this work is one final thing. The whole thing about here is the feedback. An emotion is a feedback. So I will take issue with the idea of positive and negative emotions. When a need of mine is being met, I feel something comfortable, something I would like to prolong. If my need is not being met, I will feel something uncomfortable. So this work allows us to go into those shadowy places where we might want to disown our emotions, and we can kind of go, right, some need of mine is not being met. That can be enough to produce a lot of kind of change for a person. Okay, so
yeah, maybe I'll just introduce the next bit, which is around, so really what we want to spend is a few minutes actually imparting some of the vocabulary of needs. So before we're going to go into breakout rooms shortly in a couple of minutes in pairs and chat a little bit about needs, but maybe just if you can watch these needs as they come up on the screen and just be attentive to maybe which of them resonate with you. Okay, so now we're going to go into pairs. You've 4 minutes in total, so you have 2 minutes each. So what really we want you to share with the other person in your breakout room, what does this word, what's the word that jumped out at you, and what does that represent to you? We want there to be a speaker and a listener, so it's not a conversation. Obviously you can do nonverbal communication back to the other person, and then after 2 minutes you switch over, and then we'll come back for a quick debrief. So Tanya's going to pop us all into. Okay, I think we're all back now. So just a minute or two, maybe debrief. I'd love if one or two people could come in and really just share, what was that like? What was that like to articulate that need that most resonated? And what was it like to hear the other person?
John, it's Martin here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So
or you can put it in the chat either.
Well, okay. Well, I started talking, so I keep going.
No. Please continue.
Sarah Jane, like I thought it was actually a brilliant experience, right? Because she obviously had thought this, and you know, it reflected a very sincere kind of need, right? So I think the process is excellent. I mean, I don't think you want to go into the specifics of, you know, the individual one, but the process was excellent. And I also enjoyed sharing mine, because, you know, I had a good listener in Sarah Jane as well. So an excellent experience.
Okay, great. Thanks, Martin. Anyone else? How did anyone else find that?
This is Razana. I thought it was great as well to be able to share something that's, you know, deep rooted within myself, and also to listen to what my two other colleagues there were saying. And I felt I could also connect to what they were saying, and how also it struck me how we were talking about ourselves and how it related to others. So it was this two-way, you know, the self and the others as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Ferenza. So really being able to talk about something deep rooted within oneself suddenly enabled this connection that maybe wouldn't have been, you know, in Ireland, we're great at talking about the weather, right? We're just up here, but actually being able to connect with and being able to communicate over what's deep within us actually suddenly brings this relationship, this communication to a new level that in a very short period of time. Okay, so that's two really excellent contributions. So what we're going to do now is go back into hopefully the same pairings, and what I want you to do is just talk about the other person's need. So how does the other person's need, what does that mean to you, if that makes sense? Okay.
Maybe another way of saying this is imagine you had picked the other person's need. So we don't want you to talk about the other person, but take that need for yourself and talk about it.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
So over to you, Tanya, again, please. And again, 2 + 2 minutes, and just the second person is just listening.
Super. Those invitations should be on screen now.
Tanya, there's someone there in the waiting room.
Oh yeah, that's Danny, who Laura was saying. I wonder was Danny having connection issues?
Maybe she got kicked.
Yeah. And Severine had sent a message to say I think it's just quite busy where they are, so they can't join, but there's 2 people in the room.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, we have 2 in every room. Danny, how are you?
Hi, Tanya, how are you?
Good. You and I think yourself and Laura there was maybe some issues in the breakout room the last time, was there?
I had some issues. Sorry about that. I just jumped onto a different computer.
No, that's okay. That's okay. They're just back in breakout rooms for another iteration of the exercise. Glenn, correct me if I'm wrong in saying this to Danny, but I think the instruction for this iteration of the breakout room, Danny, was, if you got this far with Laura the last time, would be to imagine if you had chosen the other person's need.
Ah, yes.
To think that through and talk that through.
That would definitely change a few things. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I tell you which words stuck out for me?
You can't, just bear with me. I'm just going to send a quick message to the breakout rooms now.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead, Danny.
Companionship. I chose companionship and respect and clarity. So I really chose three of them. And Laura had chosen the need to be seen. So that's something a little bit different. I guess it's the need to be seen, and she mentioned that I guess it just goes along with her values of respect, which I thought was pretty good. I thought that was pretty close to companionship. But then, yeah, the need to be seen, that's the That's great. I sort of, you know, sometimes I tend to shy away from things, but it just shows you the difference that people might have,
Mm. Mm.
you know, between themselves.
One of the things I find, Danny, with this work is there are layers of needs. So a particular bit of work that John and I do is the immunity to change. We do a Rosenberg version of that. And what we discover is that people may have a goal and there's a need met by that goal. So let me say the goal is, you know, I want to get a promotion. There's a need for maybe challenge and security and various things that go along with that. But when you look at what prevents people from reaching their goals, it's something to do with psychological safety. It's something to do with belonging generally, you know. So to be seen and to see and be seen, you know, it's one of those needs that is touching into that area of belonging. And one of the explanations for this anthropologically is that when we were a hunter-gatherer society, if you didn't belong to the tribe, that was it. You would not be able to survive. If you were cast out from the tribe in prehistoric times, it was certain death. So it's one of the reasons why these core needs of psychological safety and belonging are so important. And what I've found in my work is that often people come in with a goal. We talk about the needs, and it's never the goal. There's always a deeper goal, you know.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
So we're all back, I think. I suppose the question again is just maybe for one or two people to share, how is that? Were you able to talk about the need that the other person picked for you?
I found it resonated very strongly, and it wouldn't have been my primary one was different, very different to Angela's, but I really related to what she had to say about the sense of belonging and being part of something and the bigger picture and that kind of thing. So yeah, it actually related very strongly. I felt vulnerable talking about my own one, but very confident speaking about her one, which was interesting for me. Yeah, but really useful.
Great. Thanks, Trevor. Anyone else?
I found it really challenging, actually. I found it was quite enlightening to reflect upon what I had understood of Richard's particular challenge and what he reflected, but I found it really difficult to apply it to myself because it wasn't where I had naturally gone or what I had naturally resonated with myself. And so the mindset change I found particularly challenging in a good way.
Okay, good. Thank you, Claire. Anyone else want to come in?
Or if you want to put something short in the chat, that's an option as well. So
I think one of the key words there was vulnerability, and feeling vulnerable. And I mentioned to John, I just feel that when you're talking about your needs, your own needs, it's quite an intimate conversation and seems quite personal. And when you communicate that, and then I suppose when you're returning thoughts and ideas about what, as Claire just rightfully said, wasn't necessarily your own primary want or need, that too is you're almost trying to be a little careful that you're not treading on a sensitivity of another, you know. So you're just it's just being careful.
So Laura, when you say that, the being careful and the vulnerability, one of the strap lines for our work is having challenging conversations with success and skill. So this work allows you to really connect with people at a deeper level and to enter into spaces that are unclear and sensitive, because an aspect of this work is how we build safety and convey safety for the other person. So there's this idea of before I start talking, I build a bridge between me and the other, like a bridge over troubled water, to use the Simon Garfunkel. So I use the skills to build the bridge, and then the bridge will be strong enough to carry the affect between the two of us. So thank
Yeah.
you for that.
Great analogy. Thanks, Glenn. Michelle, you wanted to come in there?
Yes, just briefly, just to say that talking about what matters to you helps you crystallize it within your own mind, and also thinking about what matters to somebody else. In this case, it was belonging. Actually made you think how to be empathetic, and to use an experience in my own particular.
Will be here, but anybody who has to leave, thanks so much for your time and engagement, and many, many thanks to John and Glenn for a great session.
Thanks, guys.
Okay. Great.